All right, let's get started. Um, can you guys see the screen? Let me know when you can see it.
I can see it.
Okay, great. All right. Let's start. Okay, so today what we're going to be working on is okay. Actually, before we get started, Sajin was telling me yesterday or today that we still have some demonstrations and projects to show. Who still needs to show their projects?
Me.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and you can show first. Hey guys, we'll just get back. Are you? Is everyone done?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Does anyone want to share? Does anyone want to share their screen and show what they've made? Or you don't even have to share. Just tell me what goes in each blank. Yeah, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So after class dog and you have death in it, we put self, we put name, and we put breed.
Okay. All right. Good job. Good job. All right. Okay. Let's move on now. Okay. All right. So you guys can still see my screen, right? Just checking.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. A method is just a function that lives inside of a class. Methods can use self to access that object's own data. So, like we used before, we can use it here. So, if you pass in self here, that means this it's able to access whatever parameters that you initialized inside of here. So if you haven't initialized any parameters and you put something here, you're trying to do self dot age or whatever, and it doesn't exist, it's not going to be able to pull that data in. So you're able to do that with this. So great thing about classes, right? It's basically you're creating objects, right? And in objects, each object you also have associated um, functions, right, that we're able to access. Like we have, for example, for the length property, we can grab a length of an array, right? We can do the same thing. We can basically create our own custom function that can do stuff like this, that we can access, and we can do that through the class. So I'm just going to use this example again, and we're just going to create another def method here, and we're going to call it bark, and we're going to pass in the self property so we can access both our functions. Then what we're going to do is just um, print name self dot name plus barks when barks when they are um, plus string h. Okay, so we'll just do this for now, And what we can do now is we created this D1 property, right? Then we can do park and do this, close parameters, and do, you're able to, sorry, tab error. Okay, which one is the tab? Okay, okay, okay. Oh, okay, which one? All right, self.h, yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And now you're able to see stuff like this, right? You can do the same thing, um, create a method, but this time you don't even have to pass in the self unless you need to use it. Let's say you just want to pass in something else. Just for an example, let's do what else? What else? Breed. Let's do breed, right? And let's say for some reason you don't want the breed to be associated with initialized over there. Um, you would be able to use it as a regular method as well. Okay. Okay. Comment it. All right. You can also change the property outside. All you need to do is let's do an example with this one actually, the dog park. So we're able to change the name d1 dot name to whatever else, and let's see what it prints out. See, now it will change it to this property. So that's how you're able to change objects as well. You just refer to whatever you're trying to change. Like you could do dot age, dot name, dot whatever you have up here. You're able to change that using this. Does this make sense to everyone so far? Okay,
Yes.
Yep.
great, great. All right. You can also delete properties using this delete function. So you just do delete.name and it would be deleted. Like the value inside will be deleted. This code, the base, the skeleton will be the same, right? But this will be deleted, right? Same thing like in human bodies, right? Everyone usually, for the most part, has kind of the same base. But let's say you break a bone, it doesn't mean like everyone else bone gets broken when your bone breaks, right? So it's only going to affect your bone. Does that make sense to everyone? How this works?
Yep.
Okay, great. And if you want to delete the entire like object itself, the instance of the object, then you just do d1 and this all this data here will be deleted, but like I said before, this will still be here. The skeleton's still going to be there. Okay. So a class body can't be empty. So if you're not ready to fill it in, use pass as a placeholder. So um, if in here, let me show again. If you don't have anything, you can just put pass, and it won't. It has to have contain something, so it's gonna put a placeholder value in there. Okay, cool.
What exactly is a class body?
Okay, so the class body is what we're creating here. We're creating self, and we're creating some variables attached to this class, and that's the makeup, the genetic makeup of the class. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. did we do this? Okay, no, we didn't. Okay, so what I want you guys to do now is try this out and let me know when you're done. Okay, are you guys ready? Are you guys done with this part? Then we can move on. or not yet? Okay, done. Great. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Okay, so we also have this thing called inheritance, right? Inheritance lets one class reuse another class's code. The parent class, or like the base class, is the one being inherited from another. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Okay. So let's look at this example right here, right? So we have a class called animal, and inside of animal, we have this initialize, right? And then we're creating another class called dog, but inside of this, we're passing in the object that we created up here called animal. So what does that mean, right? So let's think of a family tree, right? We have your first, let's make a very simple family tree. So you have your parents, you have your two parents, and then you have yourself, right? So not everything will be inherited from your parents, right? You're going to have some things that come from your dad, some things that come from your mom, stuff like that, right? In this example here, it's taking all of its properties, the initialized properties that the animal class has, and giving it to the dog. So the dog has name, okay? But the dog could also have its own initialized, right? It could also have its own stuff. It could have breed, it could have hair color, stuff like that, right? But it's going to have some inherited inherited items, objects, functions, whatever, from its main class, its main branch, right? Does that make sense to everyone? How you can share code?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in this instance, we're creating a dog class and we're setting it, feeding in Rex. Obviously, we don't show anything here. We just have a pass, right? I mean, it's just a temporary placeholder for now. And what it does is it looks Rex. Is there a self Rex here? No. But we're passing in this animal parameter. It goes to the animal class. It goes up. It checks. Okay, can we put name here anywhere? Okay, we can put Rex right here in name and save it to self.name. Right. And then it's gonna, when you do sorry, when you do print d1.name, it's able to print Rex. So a child class automatically gets all of the parent's properties and methods. Okay. So adding to a child, right? You want the child to have its own initialize and keep the parent set up, right? You can use this super function here. Um, so let's look at this example, right? So we have this initialize, right? And we're giving an initialize of name and breed. But now you're going to be confused because we're passing in this parameter of animal, and animal already has this name property. So which one is it going to save to? Is it going to save to this name or this name? We don't know, right? So what you can do to set and specify which name it's going to be saving to is by using the super function. And what super does is it goes up into the main class, your parent class, and it looks, okay, it does super initialize, and then we have passing in our name. Okay, it looks, okay, in the initialize function, do we see a name property? Yes, name. So this name that you set for the dog is going to be saved technically here and accessed by the dog. So that way you're inheriting the name, but you also have your own parameter called breed. So whenever you're inheriting something from the parent class, you're going to have to use a super and put this underscore initialize and put in the property you're inheriting. In this case, this parameter we're inheriting would be name. It's grabbing it from the animal class, right? Um, like I said with my previous example, we might have, let's say, our hair color from our dad, but we're gonna have our own feature. Let's say curly hair, right? Let's say our own distinct feature is curly hair. So that's going to be distinct to ourselves, right? Um, so that's how it would be working. And then if you do d1.name, it's going to save it to this one. It's going to grab this save here instead of it being confused. So you're inheriting this one. All right. Is this confusing or does this make sense to everyone? I can explain further.
Can you explain a little bit more?
Yeah. Which part are you not understanding? And then I can like talk about it more.
I'm not getting the super part.
Okay. All right. Super is basically very simple, right? All the super does is it. You see how we're feeding in the name parameter. Remember in this previous example here. In this previous example, I said that whenever you feed an animal into a class like this, it takes in whatever data is in here, right? And it uses that. Does that part make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing here. Now we want to use this animal thing. We want to use the name from the animal, but we also want to use our own thing called breed. Like the animal class does not have breed, right? Not every animal is going to have a breed, right? Um, so we want to have our own stuff too. So self.breed equals breed, that looks normal. But we use super because we want to access this name from animal. So we're just grabbing the super and we're taking in the name, we're setting the name, we're saving the name up here, basically. We're just taking it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. If it doesn't make sense, just let me know and I'll explain more. Okay. Does anyone else have any doubts on how this works or no?
No.
All right. All right. So we're going to do this example, and I think that might be the last thing we do for today. Might be. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and work on this example and try out the bonus problem as well.